Guess who's back? Back again. Emily's back. Tell your friends. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Have you seen my new wheelchair, everybody? Let's have a little look. Oh my life. Look at that. Oh, you probably can only see my bloody back. I just realised, oh yeah, everyone look at my wheelchair, and then she just shows a view of her bloody back. When I was a kid, being in a wheelchair was never anything. It was just like, yeah, I'm Emily, I'm in a wheelchair. It was just a fact of life. My parents never sat me down and said, right, so we gotta tell you, you're in a wheelchair and that's not normal. Like, you're not gonna do that to your kid. They only ever bolstered me up, and they only ever made out that it was normality, and me being in a wheelchair was just like me liking cereal. It was just like, yeah, so. I had my first wheelchair when I was 3 years old, and it must have been, imagine how tiny it was, it must have been like that big. I wish I still had it. Put it in my bedroom wall. My first chair. But yeah, I had my first wheelchair when I was 3. And I remember we lived next door to a bloke, and I'm sure his name was Chris, and he was a car mechanic. So my mother and my father, being amazing as they were like, Chris, we need your help, mate. Can you please spray our daughter's wheelchair pink? And when I tell you that at 3 years old, I felt like I was going to be cast as Aurora in Disney's Sleeping Beauty. I literally saw my wheelchair and I was like, oh my god. I literally think that I made the concept of Pimp My Ride before it even existed. I used to have these little beads on my wheels. So then every time I used to push, it used to like make this like ding-a-ling-ling sound. So it was like ding-a-ling-ling-ling-ling. I just loved it. And I had these like pom-poms on the back of the handles, and they were all shiny, and yeah. I felt like an absolute legend, I'm not gonna lie. I used to want people to think I was happy, like strangers when I was a kid, because I wanted them to talk to me, so I had like smiley face wheel covers, and I had like funny little cushion covers with like farm animals. I think I had like, I'm trying to think now, I'm sure I had farm animals on it, or smileys on it. I think if Minions were around when I was a kid, I think I would have had a Minion wheelchair just covered in little Minions. Because I just wanted people to talk to me. Like, I didn't want them to be scared of me. And also, people always used to stare at me, obviously. So I wanted to give them something to look at. So I was like, okay, let's just design my wheelchair in rainbows and colours. I had a mobility scooter when I was about 10, because I used to be a little crap in school. Like, I loved being chaotic and people being like, no way, has Emily just done that? It's like, yes I have. So I wanted to be faster, so I said to my mum and dad, can I have a mobility scooter? Because all I thought was, oh well, it's really fast and I can get away from the teachers and I can go where I want to go. Because when I was a kid, people used to try and push me all the time, and that really done my head in. Because it was like, well, I want to go where I want to go. I want to have some freedom. Just because I'm slow doesn't mean you have to get involved and start pushing the back of me. So I had the handles off the back of the chair, because I was like, I am independent. I'm an independent woman. Like, I do not want anybody pushing me, like, remove the handles. And then the mobility scooter came along, and even though I probably felt like mad from Benidorm, I loved it, because it was like, I'm going where I want to go, I'm zooming, and I literally, my mum used to pick me up from school, and I always used to like drive the other way, and I used to be like, chase me, like, yeah, and I just used to, the teachers used to call me, and I just used to go the other way. I used to take a lot of my angst out on that blinking scooter. I actually pushed myself into like, well, rode into like loads of walls and doors and people's legs, and then denying it afterwards. Yeah, so if I had a bad day, it was just like, I've had a bad day, I'm gonna go full pelt into the wall. And then I just used to be like driving into stuff. But yeah, I loved it because I felt like I could keep up with people on the yard, and I could run around in my own special little way. And I had it as well when I used to like go out and about with my parents, because it was like, I can go whatever I want. So, like, we used to go shopping, and I used to be like, see you later. And I just used to drive. I swear I thought it was a bloody Aston Martin or a bloody Ferrari. The amount of times I fell off it and gone into a hell of a load of trouble. It's like, clean up on aisle 4, body in aisle. And my parents were nowhere to be seen because I told them to bugger off half hour earlier. I think secondary school was the time when I really felt at odds with being in a wheelchair and having cerebral palsy. Because when I was a kid, I never thought that I was different. I was brought up as, Emily, yes, you're in a wheelchair, so what? And that's what I believed. Whereas when I grew up being a teenager, the peer pressure of realising, hang on a minute, I actually am really different here and there's no one like me about and I feel like an alien, that really sunk in and my self-worth just hit the floor. My self-confidence was zero and I just felt worthless. It was all in my own mind, but it was just like, I'm disabled, I'm disgusting. I hate being in a wheelchair. I used to hate my wheelchair because it was a constant reminder of the things I couldn't do and the disability I had, which made me feel like I was never going to achieve anything in my life. When I tell you, I used to sit there and I used to look down and I used to be so embarrassed, so ashamed. Like, I just feel so ugly. This wheelchair is, it's vile. It traps me. It forces me to be not like everyone else and not fit in. For a really, really long time, I resented my wheelchair because it just made me feel like nothing. I hated it. I wished for so many years to just wake up and be able to walk. I was just hoping and praying that my body one day would allow me to feel normal. But of course, it's not going to, because some disabilities are lifelong and, they're not something that you can just have disappear. So instead of my disability disappearing, I wanted to disappear, and it was like, right, okay, I hate myself, I hate my life, I hate what I'm going to become, I hate the fact that I'm not like anyone else, and I'm such a freak, and I just want nobody to notice me, nobody to look at me, because I'm embarrassed. So it went through a stage of, obviously on the NHS, every couple of years, you have a new wheelchair, which fits your requirements of your disability and condition and obviously fits you. So they measure you up for a wheelchair, they talk you through, okay, you've got CP, so you may need this cushion, you may need this backrest, la la la. So it's like a proper assessment. And I remember going to those assessments and I remember looking the people in the eye and being like, why are you asking me what colour frame and what colour wheels I want? I don't want a wheelchair. I don't even want to be here. I don't want to be disabled. I don't want you asking me all these questions. Are you taking the mick? Would you want me to turn to you and say, oh yeah, so the thing that's going to ruin your life and make you feel worthless, what colour do you want it in? Like, it was just so hard for me as a teenager because I felt at odds with myself all of the time. I convinced myself that I was worthless and nothing was ever going to be good in my life. And I'm disabled, so I'm never going to be able to do anything, and I might as well just give up. I wanted all of my equipment when I was a kid, when I was like a teenager. I decided all my equipment was going to be in black, because I didn't want to look at it. It was like, well, why would I want it in a colour? It's embarrassing, it's demeaning. Put it in black, then I won't have to look at it, and maybe other people won't look at it. Maybe they'll ignore it. Maybe they won't stare at it. So I remember for such a long time, the authorities and stuff, they used to be like, why are you so grumpy? And it's like, well, would you be happy about being disabled? No, I don't think you would. Actually, it makes me miserable and really upset. So, yeah, for a long, long time, my wheelchair was something I resented and something I was really ashamed of. Like, I didn't leave the house for so many years because it was just like, oh, I don't want to be seen out. I don't want to see other people, and they definitely don't want to see me. So yeah, it went into a really dark place. And going from a kid who loved her wheelchair and was so pleased and like, oh my god, everyone look at me, I then turned into like this person of like, nobody look at me, like I hate myself. So that was really, really difficult to deal with. And my parents always supported me, but they could see that I was going into this slump of like giving up on myself and like giving up on life. So they were always like, right, what can we do to help? But there was nothing they could do because I just felt worthless, and I would have convinced myself I was worthless. It didn't matter what I could achieve or what I could do. It was always like, oh yeah, but you can't walk though. And I used to use it as like I used to punish myself. So then going through secondary school was really hard. I rebelled really, really badly. I was really mean, really rude. And I decided to find a happy medium between a wheelchair and a mobility scooter. So I got like an electric chair, something I don't have to bother with. I didn't push myself. I literally just pressed the lever 24/7, and I put on so much weight because I was neglecting myself mentally, physically, and I just gave up. I didn't want to know. I didn't want anyone else to bother with me, so I just gave up. And so many teachers and so many people around me were like, oh, maybe you can't do that, we'll do that for you. And I lied for so many years. It was like, oh, yeah, you got it right, I can't do that. You might as well do that for me. Do that for me, do that for me, do that for me. And I just turned into this person I hardly didn't even recognise. My mum's advice to me when I was going through one of the darkest times of my life, she turned to me and she said, Emily, I can do everything for you. I can dress you, I can take you to get a job, I can look after you, I can wash you, I can comb your hair, I can feed you, I can home you, I can clothe you, but I can't make you want to live. I can't make you like yourself, Emily. That's something you got to do. And it's only when I sat there and I thought, I've got to try. I've got to try and live. And I've got to try and accept myself now. Because nobody can do that for me. And I am proud to sit here and say, yeah, I'm in a wheelchair. So bloody what? Oh my god, guess who's back? It's me. But, Wally. Sorry, Mum. Do you know that time where you get ready really early in the morning and you're like, ah, that's nice, that'll do. And then light comes on you or the sun rises and you're thinking, yeah, it looks a bit crap, doesn't it? That's what my hair looks like today. Ooh, ooh. Here we are. I'm gonna burp.